World War II from 1939 to 1945 was a global conflict that brought devastation and changed the course of history. The war began with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany, which led to a chain reaction of alliances being activated and countries being drawn into the conflict. The Axis powers led by Germany, Italy, and Japan sought to expand their territories and impose their ideologies on the world. Millions of lives were lost and entire cities were reduced to rubble. The war caused unprecedented destruction, with cities like London, Berlin, and Hiroshima facing relentless bombings. Civilians bore the brunt of the conflict, enduring hardships, displacement, and loss on an unimaginable scale. It was a war that pitted nations against each other in a battle for freedom and democracy against tyranny and oppression. The Allies, including the United States, the Soviet Union, and the United Kingdom, united to combat the Axis threat. Propaganda played a significant role in rallying public support and maintaining morale on both sides. The war was fought across continents and oceans, involving the vast majority of the world's nations. Battles raged in Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, with each theater of war presenting unique challenges and strategies. Naval and aerial combat became crucial, with aircraft carriers and submarines playing pivotal roles. It was a conflict that saw the rise of new technologies, such as the atomic bomb, which would forever alter the nature of warfare. The Manhattan Project, a secret research and development project, led to the creation of nuclear weapons, marking a significant turning point in military history. The war's end saw the beginning of a new era, with the world forever changed by the events of those 6 tumultuous years. To understand the causes of World War II, one must first look back to the aftermath of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war but sowed the seeds for future conflict. The treaty placed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, disarmament, and crippling reparations payments. This fueled resentment and instability in Germany, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. In the years following World War I, totalitarian regimes rose to power in Italy, Germany, and Japan, exploiting the economic and social turmoil in their respective countries. These regimes, led by charismatic but ruthless dictators, promised national glory and a return to greatness. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party capitalized on the widespread anger and humiliation felt by many Germans after their defeat in World War I and the subsequent economic hardships. Hitler's ideology of racial purity and national superiority resonated with a population desperate for a solution to their problems. The Great Depression, which began in 1929, further exacerbated the political and social tensions that were brewing worldwide. The collapse of the global economy led to widespread unemployment, poverty, and social unrest, creating an environment where extremist ideologies could flourish. In Germany, the economic crisis hit particularly hard. Millions were unemployed, and hyperinflation had rendered the German currency practically worthless. The desperation and despair of the time made Hitler's promises of economic recovery and national revival all the more appealing. Section 5. A powder keg of resentment. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, was intended to bring lasting peace to Europe after the devastation of World War I. However, the treaty imposed harsh penalties and territorial losses on Germany, which many Germans viewed as a national humiliation. The loss of territories, coupled with severe economic reparations, created a deep sense of resentment and injustice among the German population. This climate of discontent provided fertile ground for the rise of totalitarian regimes. Leaders like Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and militarists in Japan capitalized on the widespread dissatisfaction and promised to restore their nations to former glory. They used powerful rhetoric and propaganda to galvanize public support, presenting themselves as saviors who could rescue their countries from the perceived injustices of the post-war order. The global economic collapse known as the Great Depression further exacerbated these tensions. The economic hardship was felt worldwide, but it hit Germany particularly hard, leading to mass unemployment, poverty, and social unrest. People stood in long bread lines and soup kitchens became a common sight. The desperation and hopelessness of the era made extremist ideologies more appealing, as people sought radical solutions to their dire circumstances. The treaty's harsh terms had created a climate of resentment and instability in Germany, which was further aggravated by the economic turmoil of the Great Depression. The Weimar Republic, Germany's democratic government at the time, struggled to maintain order and stability. Protests and political violence became increasingly common as various factions vied for power. Hitler and the Nazis skillfully exploited this volatile situation. They promised to overturn the Treaty of Versailles, restore Germany's lost territories, and revive the economy. Through a combination of charismatic leadership, propaganda, and violent suppression of opposition, they were able to gain significant support and eventually seize control of the government. The economic devastation caused by the Great Depression further fueled the rise of extremist ideologies, not just in Germany, but also in other countries facing similar hardships. In Italy, Mussolini's fascist regime promised to revive the economy and restore national pride. In Japan, militarists sought to expand their empire to secure resources and markets for their struggling economy. These totalitarian regimes shared common traits: a focus on nationalism, militarism, and a desire to overturn the existing international order. They used aggressive foreign policies and military expansion as means to achieve their goals, often at the expense of neighboring countries and global stability. Nationalist fervor was a powerful tool for these regimes. Massive rallies, parades, and propaganda campaigns were used to instill a sense of unity and purpose among the populace. Citizens were encouraged to believe in the superiority of their nation and the righteousness of their cause. Driven by a combination of economic desperation, nationalist fervor, and a desire for territorial expansion, these countries began to pursue aggressive foreign policies. Germany rearmed and remilitarized, Italy invaded Ethiopia, and Japan expanded into China and Southeast Asia. These actions challenged the existing world order and set the stage for global conflict. Diplomatic efforts to contain these aggressive moves were largely unsuccessful. The alliances formed between Germany, Italy, and Japan, known as the Axis powers, further emboldened their expansionist ambitions. As these nations pursued their goals through military aggression and territorial conquests, the world was inexorably drawn towards the outbreak of World War II. Section 6. Appeasement's failure. As tensions rose in Europe, the democratic nations of Britain and France adopted a policy of appeasement towards Hitler. They hoped that by giving in to his demands, they could avoid another devastating war. However, appeasement only emboldened Hitler, who saw it as a sign of weakness. In 1938, Hitler annexed Austria into Germany, a blatant violation of the Treaty of Versailles. The international community, eager to avoid war, did little to stop him. This only encouraged Hitler's further aggression. Section 7. Invasion of Poland. The spark ignites. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, marking the beginning of World War II. Hitler's blitzkrieg tactics, utilizing fast-moving tanks and overwhelming air power, quickly overran the Polish defenses. Britain and France, realizing that appeasement had failed, declared war on Germany 2 days later. The world watched in horror as Europe was once again plunged into a devastating conflict. Section 8. A world at war. World War II was a global conflict that drew in nations from every corner of the globe. On one side were the Axis powers, led by Germany, Italy, and Japan. On the other side were the Allies, led by Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union. The war raged for 6 long years, marked by unimaginable brutality and loss of life. From the battlefields of Europe to the jungles of the Pacific, millions fought and died in the name of their respective nations. Section 9. The Seeds of Conflict, a Legacy Remembered. World War II was a defining moment in human history. It was a period marked by immense struggle, sacrifice, and resilience. The war involved more than 100 million people from over 30 countries, making it one of the most widespread and devastating conflicts the world has ever seen. The sheer scale of the war, with battles fought across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, left an indelible mark on the collective memory of humanity. It was a conflict that tested the limits of human endurance and forever altered the global political landscape. The aftermath of the war saw the emergence of new superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, setting the stage for the Cold War. The political boundaries of many countries were redrawn, and the world witnessed the birth of the United Nations, an organization aimed at preventing such a catastrophic conflict from happening again. The war's causes were complex and multifaceted, rooted in the unresolved grievances of World War I, the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, and the widespread economic turmoil that followed. The interwar period was marked by political instability and the rise of extremist ideologies which found fertile ground in the discontent and desperation of the time. The rise of totalitarian regimes, particularly in Germany, Italy, and Japan, which pursued aggressive expansionist policies. Leaders like Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and Emperor Hirohito capitalized on nationalistic fervor and economic woes to consolidate power and pursue their militaristic ambitions, and the devastating economic realities of the Great Depression, which exacerbated social and political tensions worldwide. The economic collapse of the 1930s led to widespread unemployment, poverty, and social unrest, creating an environment ripe for radical change and conflict. The lessons learned from World War II continue to resonate today, reminding us of the importance of international cooperation, diplomacy, and the need to address the root causes of conflict before they escalate. The war underscored the necessity of building strong international institutions and fostering a spirit of collaboration among nations, reminding us of the importance of international cooperation, the value of diplomacy, and the need for collective security measures. The formation of alliances and international bodies like NATO and the European Union were direct responses to the lessons learned from the war, the dangers of unchecked aggression, and the catastrophic consequences that can arise when nations resort to war to resolve their differences. The war also highlighted the importance of standing up against tyranny and oppression, and the need for vigilance in protecting human rights and freedoms, and the enduring human spirit in the face of adversity. Despite the immense suffering and loss, the war also showcased the resilience and determination of people to rebuild their lives and communities. The post-war recovery efforts, from the Marshall Plan in Europe to the reconstruction of Japan, demonstrated the power of human ingenuity and cooperation. The war serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of actively safeguarding it for generations to come. Memorials and commemorations around the world honor the sacrifices made and serve as a poignant reminder of the cost of war and the importance of actively safeguarding it for generations to come. As we reflect on the legacy of World War II, we are reminded of our shared responsibility to promote peace, justice, and human dignity, ensuring that the horrors of the past are never repeated.